Last year's summit in the Netherlands was great also, and we achieved an unprecedented agreement to increase the annual defense spending, and it's the benchmark, raising it from 2% to 5% of GDP, which everybody said was impossible. And now they're all thanking me, and most of the countries have agreed to it. We have a couple of that didn't, but I have a feeling they're going to, and pretty quickly. As all of the leaders understand very well, the United States remains by far the largest contributor to NATO, monetarily and maybe otherwise, and the strongest military anywhere in the world. And they respect us as a country. Again, they didn't respect us 2 years ago. They laughed at us. NATO laughed at us. Everybody laughed at us. They don't laugh anymore. There's no more laughing. Spain is a terrible partner in NATO. They don't participate. They don't pay. I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please, including visits.
That is President Trump today at the NATO summit, as both Canada's Prime Minister and NATO's Chief Mark Rutte say President Trump won in getting NATO member nations to increase their own defense spending. But President Trump said he wants to cut off all trade and tourism to Spain for not doing enough defense spending and doing enough to help with Iran. Spain calls this criticism, quote, business as usual. Let's welcome back to the show former Trump State Department official, Ambassador Nathan Sales. It's good to see you, sir. What do you make of this? Spain is the only NATO member not committing to increasing their defense spending to 5% of its GDP by 2035. We should point out only 5 out of NATO's 32 member nations are spending more than 3.5% now. What do you make of all of this?
Well, it's very disappointing, Liz. The alliance, the NATO alliance, is about collective self-defense. We defend ourselves and we defend our allies. Who is Spain going to defend? With that kind of military spending, I don't think the United States or any other ally can count on Spain. And here's the thing. Who's going to defend Spain? If you ask the Prime Minister of Spain, where's the money going to come from? He's going to say, well, America should do it, or Britain should do it, or Poland, or one of the other countries that's at 3.5%. That's not a good deal. The way the alliance works best is if all members are equally invested in collective self-defense. And it's no answer to say, well, we don't want to cut social welfare spending, so we'll ask the American taxpayers to foot the bill. Not going to cut it.
So, Ambassador, the U.S. is now bombing Iran. Reports of airstrikes in southern Iran to get Iran to stop doing strikes on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Where do you see this going? Do you think this will work? Do you think the U.S. should seize Iran's oil hub, Karg Island? Should we put the Marines in there to do that? Where do you see this going?
Well, as the Iranians wouldn't take yes for an answer. We've spent the past 2+ weeks in a ceasefire where the terms, as we heard from the vice president, were very clear. We opened the strait, they opened the strait. But that apparently was too hard for the hardliners in Tehran to follow through on. And so the president ran out of patience. His patience is not unlimited, and he was willing to give diplomacy a chance to reach our desired outcome of an Iran that's not a regional threat and an Iran that doesn't have a nuclear weapon. But the Iranians simply failed to take yes for an answer. And so here we are, back in onesies and twosies, and maybe it escalates into something bigger. We'll see.
So Iran is now seeing a president who does have red lines. He will enforce his red lines, it looks like. Final word.
Yeah, that's important. Diplomacy is effective if it's backed by the threat of force. Okay. And what the president has shown, he's willing to use force to get good diplomacy.
Thank you, Nathan Sales. Good to see you. Coming up, this story.
Thanks, Liz.